Welcome to Commander Tune-Ups with us, the Nitpicking Nerds.
Today, we're upgrading Suspected Sins, our patron's Ezuri Claw of Progress deck.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Check out our Discord. Check out our Patreon. We're doing a giveaway, and it's not going to last much longer. We're giving away a Secret Lair Walking Dead full package, but you got to follow us on Twitter. That's the only way you got to enter.
It's the only way to enter. It's
Easy.
not the only way you got to enter. It's the only way to enter. So, Commander Tune-Ups, it's a series where we take your patron-submitted deck and we upgrade it under your restrictions. Today, Suspected Sins sent in his Ezuri Claw of Progress deck with no budgets. He wants to keep Spike Feeder, keep Fate Spinner, keep Den Protector. Another note about this deck is he doesn't want Mana Crypt and dual lands and stuff that's just super overpriced thrown in this deck.
Like the boring includes that you could throw in any deck. So we didn't bother doing that. First, we got to read Ezuri. It's 2 green, blue for a 3/3. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it has power 2 or less, you get an experience counter. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, for each experience counter, you put that many +1/+1 counters on target creatures. So if you have 10 experience counters, you get 10 +1/+1 counters, and experience counters don't go away.
Yes, experience stays no matter what. You just have to recast your commander, and then you'll get that trigger. Say you have 6, and he comes back out, and you don't play any more creatures. There's still 6 experience counters because they sit on you, the player.
This card's super good. This is the easiest way to get experience counters. It's like the best one anyway. I don't know, maybe Mizzix is up there, but I don't think it's as good as this.
Yeah, Mizzix is definitely harder to get going than this.
Yeah, and then you got to cast X spells, and if you don't get going, your whole deck's got fluff in it. So anyway, that's not the deck. The deck is Ezuri. This deck is pretty cool. But first, talk about little dudes, or I name this category little dudes, to actually play and get the experience counters before we can get going.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to play tiny guys, get experience counters, and then go from there. So first things, we got some mana dorks. We got Devoted Druid, Incubation Druid, and Gyre Sage. Now you might be thinking, those aren't the best mana dorks. Every single one of these 3 has synergies with getting +1/+1 counters. Devoted Druid can untap itself an extra couple times. Incubation Druid, once it has a counter, taps for 3 instead of 1 mana. And Gyre Sage taps equal to the number of counters on it. So all these have some synergies with the counters from Ezuri.
Literally, they all want counters on them, not necessarily from Ezuri, because that's your whole turn worth. Maybe if you can only give in 1 or 2, and you go, if you want to go like turn 2, any one of these into turn 3 Ezuri, then you can just throw counters on if you somehow get other experience counters. But these are here to just accelerate you into the sun.
Into the sun?
Into the sun.
Dang, that's so much further than I was thinking. Next, another creature that he comes down as a little dude and loves having +1/+1 counters on it. It's Backwalker. It's XX for a 0/0, enter the battlefield with X counters on it. And you can pay 1, tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When it dies, make X Thopters, where X was number of counters on it.
This is less of the last part. We can't really control when it's going to die. It'll survive a board wipe if we can stack up 1,000,000 counters on it. Really, this is just here to absorb like maybe 5 or 6, and then it's just some insurance because we're not trying to sacrifice it aggressively.
I mean, even if you're not trying to sacrifice it aggressively, putting the counters on aggressively isn't bad. You get to make this big old creature. If it's sneaking through a few hits, fine. If it's not, it's going to survive a board wipe. It's going to leave you with something after that board wipe.
But it's also a source of +1/+1 counters, which is relevant for several cards in the deck.
Yes.
Rishkar, Pima Renegade. There's one of them right away. He's a little dude, but when he enters, he puts 2 counters on your guys, and now all your guys with counters can tap for mana. So that Hanger Backwalker that's just sitting there with 2 counters on it now is a mana dork.
Yeah, exactly. This card's pretty simple. I mean, it's just ramp, and it's a little dude to trigger Ezuri. Simple enough. Just like the Devoted Druid, Incubation Druid, Gyre Sage.
And if anything would enter, if it's a 2/2 that enters and then as a trigger to put counters on stuff, Rishkar could still put a counter on him and then give you an experience counter. You just stack them in the right way.
Yeah, stack your triggers correctly. Next, you want to get a bunch of triggers. These ones are a bunch. First, Avengers Zendikar. It's a 7 mana 5/5. Comes down. You get an 0/1 plant for each land you control. Awesome. That's simple. I mean, you're going to get so for each land you control, you're going to get an experience counter. That's insane. And Scoot Swarm is the other one. It's a 3 mana 1/1. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get a 1/1 plant unless you control 6 or more land, and in that case, you'll get a copy of Scoot Swarm.
These cards are just in little dudes. They can both win the game by themselves under certain situations. Scoot Swarm, if you got fetch lands, this card is ridiculous. You just go, all right, second one, 2 more. And it's like, well, you just got 4 experience counters for no mana. All you did was play a fetch land.
Something really interesting about Scootswarm that you don't think about or realize, if you say you're not going to be able to kill Scootswarm in a one-on-one game right away, if they go to 2 and you kill 1, you've slowed them down like a whole turn. You have to. It's a weird thing to think about, but in the case of they have 2 and you can kill 1, it's often going to be worth it.
Yeah, if you don't want to get it out of, you don't want them to get Scootswarm. You don't want to let Scootswarm get out of hand, because if they only have 2 and you as a team, a table, can't figure out a way to kill it, and that's somehow relevant to you, kill 1 at least, because that's going to be the difference between 32 and 64 down the road.
Yes, exactly. Because when you kill 1, you kill as many as it would have multiplied into.
And if there's only 2, you reset the chain. You set them back a whole turn.
Yeah, exactly. Next, we have 2 little duders that are going to try and sneak by. We have Invisible Stalker. It's got hexproof and it's unblockable. It's 1/1 for 2 mana.
He loves the counters.
He loves the counters. He gets huge really, really quick, and he has hexproof, meaning he's only going away with a board wipe, so you can just keep stacking counters in this guy until eventually then there's a board wipe, and then he's gone.
This deck has counter magic, so usually common play pattern is find little dudes, find Ezuri, easy to find, he's in your command zone, stack counters on one of your payoff creatures, protect it with a board wipe, you're just going to win.
Yep.
Protect from a board wipe with a counterspell, you're just going to win.
Yeah, exactly. Slippery Bogle is just a 1/1, and he's got hexproof. You put counters on him. Same thing.
I didn't cut it. I thought that's this seemed like the spirit of the deck to keep the little Bogle guys in, so I didn't really cut them, but we didn't add any more.
I leave Invisible Stalker. I probably would have cut Bogle.
Okay, well, we've got the experience counters now. We just played all those little dudes, and now we have 10 experience counters, and we have Ezuri. So what are we dumping counters onto?
These are ones that are going to give us huge advantage when we put the counters on it. So to start, Fathom Mage. 2, green-blue for a 1/1. It has Evolve. Evolve says when the creature with power or toughness greater than it enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Fathom Mage. Whenever a +1/+1 counter is put onto Fathom Mage, draw a card.
This card's actually not great. We're not going to really evolve it too much because all our creatures are little dudes. But when we have Ezuri out already, we can slam this as a sorcery that basically says 4 mana, draw 6. And it's a 7/7, and it doesn't go away.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like this super strong card, but again, it's for each +1/+1 counter put on it. So Ezuri puts them all on at once. It's not 1 or more. It's more than the actual good way. So if you put 7 counters, you draw 7 cards.
Next is Crystalline Crawler. It's 4 mana for a 1/1. It has Converge. It's the only relevant card with Converge ever printed on it, basically. Enters with a +1/+1 counter for each mana spent to cast it. So it can be a 5/5. Taps to put a counter on itself, but more importantly, remove a counter, add a mana of any color, and this is not a tap ability. So you can do it right away, and you can do it as many times as you want.
Again, yeah, simple here. You play this for whatever amount of mana you're going to play it for. You take your 7 experience counters, 5, whatever number it is, throw them on this, and immediately get refunded any amount of mana you might have put into this.
Then play more little dudes, get more experience counters, and now you're ready to either protect your board state with a counterspell or untap and then go absolutely crazy.
This next one is very interesting. You actually don't want to put the counters onto her, but rather the creatures around her. And it's Zavala, Heart of the Wild. 1 green for a 2/3. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if it has the highest power among all creatures on the battlefield, its controller draws a card. Pay a green, tap it, add mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool equal to the greatest power among creatures you control.
Which is going to be like 100. This is another Crystalline Crawler ability, except you can put the counters on some huge threat. Crystalline Crawler is not really a threat. Put the counters on a threat and then still get 12 mana to use post-combat.
Yeah, exactly. The thing about Zavala is she's very good, but we're not the big slammy deck, so beware. If you throw this down early, other players might start drawing cards. She is a symmetrical effect in that way, so you don't want to just throw her down like turn 3 in this deck, because that's not how this deck is made to function. It's not the way the deck is going to go. You want to wait a couple of turns in when you start actually getting things going. Otherwise, your opponent's just going to get free draws, and you're not looking to give out free cards.
All you need to do is wait until you get a number of counters with Ezuri down. If you get 2 experience counters, boom. That something's a 4/4. Now you can play it, and it's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, like, if you slam this on turn 2, maybe you had your Soul Ring start, you're going to go like, oh, wait a minute. Why did I do that? Now they're all drawing cards. They're playing 3/3s.
Yeah, they're going to draw off, like, Beast tokens and, like, Sarah Ascendants and dumb stuff like that.
Yeah, now what we're looking to do.
Last one, Chasm Skulker. 2 and a blue for a 1/1. Whenever you draw a card, +1/+1 counter. Dies, 1/1 squids with Island Walk, equal to the number of counters on it. This is another little board wipe insurance. If we see a board wipe we don't like, we can probably counter it. If not, it's probably destroying all creatures, in which case insurance policy will just get 17 1/1s with Island Walk.
Yeah, there's also a lot of synergy here. This card, you can set it at somebody, and maybe they're gonna want to chump it mostly. But sometimes they might think they want to kill it because it's just gonna get bigger and bigger no matter what. And if they kill it while Ezuri's still on board, that's a lot of experience.
That's a stupid amount of experience. Same with Hanger Backwalker. There are situations where you can even beast within your own thing because it's gonna kill somebody. You just make 18 tokens, 18 experience. You're the most experienced person in the world, and you smack someone for lethal.
Yeah, experience is funny. It's weird because you're not the one who takes advantage of it. Your commander is. It's strange.
All right, this third category is something I noticed was a common theme in the deck. We're not huge fans of waiting for that one trigger each turn, so we're just going to up that clock a little bit and add more functional copies of Ezuri in the deck.
Yeah, the first two, really simple. Sparkdevil, Shakashima of 1,000 Faces. They're both just clones that can be your commander.
And he won't die. Sakashima lets you make additional copies. There is the blue MDFC Glasspool Mimic. So if you have Sakashima, you can even make another Ezuri because you don't have a legend rule. And then they're all going to trigger on combat, and I don't know how you're not going to win at that point.
Maybe you only have one experience counter.
As a bonus, Sparkdevil even just has a counter on it.
Yeah, it does. It comes with a +1/+1 counter if you want to copy something else that might have some synergy, like a Fathom Mage. They'll come down and draw right away.
The tiniest little bit of gravy.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, you never know. You never know when that's gravy is going to be relevant. Next, the Ozolith. It's a 1-mana legendary artifact. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had a counter on it, put those counters on the Ozolith. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters on it, you may move all counters from the Ozolith onto target creature.
It literally even goes at the beginning of combat. It's just another Ezuri, another way to survive board wipes. Your creatures are going to die here and there. It happens. Happens to the best of us. You lose your Invisible Stalker in a horrible, horrible accident. All those counters get banked.
Yeah, and any other counter you might be able to find. I don't know if this deck has too many others, but let's just say your opponent puts a counter on your guy that you like. Keep it around.
A filibuster counter. Then you can't not move that stupid filibuster counter around. It has to technically be represented.
No, the filibuster counter. It does nothing. There's no function to filibustering.
No. Manifestation counter. That's our favorite type of counter.
Also one that doesn't do anything.
All right, next, Forgotten Ancient, 3 green for an 0/3. Whenever anyone casts a spell, he gets a counter. And before we talk about that, just that text alone is not good enough. That's why we cut Mana Gorger Hydra. But now your upkeep, you can distribute the number of counters from this thing onto creatures you control. This triggers everything that cares about counters. If we have those Mana Dorks in play and they don't have a counter yet, 1/1/1. Fathom Mage, draw X cards. A Hanger Backwalker, make X Thopters later on. Ezuri creature that we want to just attack with, we don't have Ezuri, all go there, and then we'll swing with it.
Yeah, exactly. And next, Strononic Resonator, we can just copy Ezuri's trigger. Literally, take his trigger, do it again.
More triggers. Double the number of counters that are going on something, or you can split it, right? Because you can choose new targets.
Exactly. You can choose new targets because the ability's getting copied. Boom. Put 5 new counters on this guy instead of that guy. Final category, we're going to win the game because, as we here at the Nitpicking Nerds always mention, every single deck needs a way to win the game. We know this game is for fun. We know EDH is mostly for fun. But if you're not winning the game, what are you really doing?
Even past, usually we go the extra step past combat. Yes. So we don't just say, this deck has 5/6/6s in it. You're going to win via combat. It's like, well, let's have something else to do.
At least most of these. Most of these are combat-type victories, but there's also very strong ones. First one, Blighted Agent. It is a 1/1 that is unblockable for 1 in the blue, but it has Infect. So if you put 9 counters on it, it is automatically a one-shot to a player.
Instant KO. I love that Infect gets around the if you would lose, do something instead. You just do it and then you lose to stay face effects. There's a bunch of them that say like, oh, if you would lose, shuffle everything in and draw that cards, or like if you would lose, instead exile the Exquisite Archangel. And it's like you just lose again.
Yeah, because
I love that stupid stuff.
Yeah, you're stuck with 10 counters.
It's so funny.
Yeah, unless it's to clear the counters off of you.
Which is way too. I just love how terrible those cards are. Champion of Lambhold is 1 green for a 1/1. Creatures with power less than its power can't block any of your creatures. So if you jam 10 counters on this, your creatures are unblockable. You just get to KO whoever happens to have life totals that line up with your power.
Or the best board usually. You're just going to be like, well, I have 11 power here and 13 here, so I'll kill you because you're a big jerk.
Right. You have a Ballista Citadel. Well, you're dead. I go around all your defense.
Yeah, and plus you paid 20 life on Ballista Citadel and didn't win. You're dead.
Yeah, that's your fault for not winning with Ballista Citadel. All right, next we haven't mentioned a couple creatures that we would normally mention when dumping counters on things because we're going to win with them. Walking Ballista and Triskelion. Walking Ballista, XX for a 0/0, enters with X +1/+1 counters. Pay 4, put a counter on it. Triskelion, 6 mana 1/1, enters with 3 counters on it. They both say, remove a counter, deal 1 damage to any target.
Simple. These cards, you put a ton of extra counters on them with Ezuri. They get pumped up. If you can get them above a player's life total, you can really just have that player stuck in a weird position. Say they're at 20 life and you have 20 counters on your Ballista. Now that player's put in a position, they can't really kill your Ballista, because if they kill your Ballista, you're going to kill them.
But if they don't act, the game keeps going and Ballista gets bigger, and then they're dead for sure. It just kind of holds everyone hostage. It's kind of lame, but it's certainly a valid way to win. We can do it. If we get a 50-50 Ballista, I'm sorry, but you're going to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Next is Sage of Hours. This one actually just is a combo piece.
The Big Daddy, Sage of Hours, 1 and a blue for a 1/1. Heroic, whenever you target it with a spell, it gets a counter. But more importantly, remove 5 counters from it, take an extra turn. Ezuri says, once a turn, you can put 5 or more counters on something. It's an infinite turn loop. It's only 2 cards. One of them's in your command zone.
This is a really easy combo to do. It just wins the game. It doesn't say anything else. It says if you have Ezuri out, experience of 5 or greater, and Sage of Hours in the battlefield, you win the game.
It's a little bit of effort, but the first time you cast Ezuri, you could probably stack up 5. And then from that point, until the game ends, you are now a public enemy number 1 if they know that you can do this.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just says win the game. If you do this thing, you win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Simply put, you get every turn, you're gonna get all the turns for the rest of the game, unless they have some sort of interaction that can stop this. You just win because you draw your cards, you do all your things, and you win.
Right. I mean, they have no combat. You are gonna have at least 50 more combats. I don't know how you're not winning with 50 more combats. You know, this is just bare bones stuff. You also have Ballista. You just stack 30 on Ballista. You know, you pack up these extra turns. It's just not it's over. There's no question that Sage of Hours plus Ezuri equals win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just going to lead to scooping. And last, Simic Ascendancy. This card is silly.
Pure jank.
Blue and a green for an enchantment. You can pay some amount to put a counter on. Doesn't matter. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters is put on a creature you control, put that many jank counters or whatever it is onto Simic Ascendancy. And if you have 20 or more of those jank counters, you win the game at the beginning of your upkeep.
Yeah, you just got to put 20 poop counters on this, and then you just win. It does, even if you get up to 18 and you're in an awkward spot, it spots you the other 2. You can maybe win with this.
Yeah, I mean, this card's pretty simple. I mean, it's fun. It's not really good. I don't think this card is... if you're looking to play Simic Ascendancy, look for it to be fun. Because this card is sweet and I really enjoy it, and I would put it in a deck or two if I had made a Simic's counter deck, which I've never done. But I'm going to be aware that this card, it literally tells your opponent you're going to untap and win. So it's not going to win very often.
Right. If you got 2 counter spells in this, you're actually probably going to win. You got a pretty good chance at that point. Mm-hmm. Sage of Hours and Simic Ascendancy, you can swap these out if you want to play a more casual version that doesn't need to be policed, or if you want to play the no holds barred version. They are kind of interchangeable. You should probably play one and not the other. This deck is in the middle. We just want to play cool cards with Ezuri, so we're playing both.
Yeah, and we're going to mention our MDFCs because we've mentioned all decks want MDFCs at this point, and we're going to play a lot of them. So we have Bellagate Recovery. We've talked about this one over and over again on the channel. It's Regrowth or it's land. It's great. Glass Pool Mimic. It's a tapped island, or it's a clone of a creature you control. Awesome. I love this card. Vassal Fortification. Instant, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, or it's a tap force. I love that this one made the deck.
It's very specific jank. There are plenty of situations where this is actually relevant. You can cantrip off of a Fathom Mage. You can sort of ritual with an Incubation Druid, and then get the mana next turn too. Also a land, and Simic Ascendancy spots you one. Extra crucial counter on your infect creature. It's I think it's playable.
Gyre Sage gets another, taps for another mana. Tons of stuff. Just tons and tons of random stuff that this character can do.
It's not even bad.
Turn Timber Symbiosis and Seagate Restoration are the mythic MDFCs of blue and green. They're both good. We want them.
Symbiosis even gives you counters if the creature is small. And most of our creatures are small.
Yeah, that's true. 32 total changes in the whole deck. 32 changes to this deck. $167 for those 32 changes. We also improved the mana base. We're not going to go over that too much here, but we always improve the mana base. We got your back, Sins.
You could cut, if you wanted to budgetize this, check out our TCG player link in the description. You can buy stuff from there or wherever you want, and we get a kickback on the channel. But more importantly, you can cut the 5 most expensive cards, and you're down to $100.
Really?
There's like Breeding Pool. Walking Ballista is kind of expensive. The Great Henge is in this deck. Great Henge is like $25.
Dang.
Yeah.
That card went up a lot.
It's not going to stop, I don't think.
All right. Well, that's our video. Special shout outs to all of our patrons, Sins included. We love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Thanks for making this channel possible. All your support really keeps this channel going. We appreciate it.
We are on the brink of a full-time Nitpicking Nerds experience, and you're going to feel, we're going to have some extra time this week maybe, so you're going to feel a little bit extra. We might do 4 videos.
We are doing 4 videos.
We're doing 4 videos. This is the first of 4 videos.
VZ doesn't even know how many videos we're doing. This is the second.
This is the second of 4 videos, and you've already seen the first one. You're like, wow, dang, bonus video.
VZ knows so little about the Nitpicking Nerd schedule. Tell somebody yell at this man, because
I'm just like the corporate bigwig in the penthouse of like the 50-floor building.
When your hair gets really long, you look like you're wearing a big wig.
I do look like a big wig. I hate when my hair gets long. I have to like adjust it 10 million different ways.
Yeah, it looks like you could take it off like this.
It's Lego hair.
Like Darth Vader's helmet.
My hair looks good when it's short, but it's Lego hair when it's long.
Yeah, it does get like that. What else?
That was a tidbit.
Did you say TCG player?
I did before the Patreon shout out. So we just are on bonus time.
Bonus
I already
time.
did a tidbit. We're not even.
What's the tidbit about our life?
I did. I have Lego hair. We talked about it. Joe Cherries knows so little about the Nitpicking Nerds. He doesn't even know what segment we're on.
We're on tidbit still.
We did tidbit. What's your tidbit?
My tidbit? I don't know. I don't have one.
Yeah, exactly. Now what?
Now we leave. Peace out, Tribe Scout.